Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Our focus this morning is on foster care. Foster parents give a child a safe and loving place to stay while the child's parents are unable to provide for them. And these children come from a wide variety of backgrounds and situations. They're children of all races and ages. And the main thing they have in common is they all need a loving and stable place to call home. My first guest represents an organization whose goal is to restore opportunity to abused and neglected youth in Milwaukee, and they remind us each and every day that kids matter. Susan Conwell is the executive director of Kids Matter Incorporated, and Lance Jones serves as program manager for the organization. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, it's a pleasure to be here.
I thank you both for being here. And Kids Matter Incorporated has actually been in existence for 16 years. So if you would, tell us more about it and what it is you do.
Sure. Well, Kids Matter actually got started by foster parents and people who've worked with kids in the community as a response to unmet need. And in fact, I was a foster parent then and have continued to work with just tons of children. It brings me a lot of happiness. So many of us have personal experience as well as professional interests, and I think that we try to always make that connection, a personal connection with the kids. So we started out with one of our original programs was really the CASA program as a way, CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates, and Lance will tell you more about that, but it's a great way for community members to get involved because we say every child needs someone in their corner.
Yeah.
And for kids, it's best if that's a parent, but if you don't have a parent, it's great that can be involved every day. It's really great to have someone who's with you all the time because the child protection system really suffers from a lot of turnover, and many kids, especially teens, right about now in Milwaukee, 60% of children that are teens are living in group or congregate care situations. So having someone who's your person, your advocate, who's with you all the way through makes such a big difference. Sorry?
Actually, when I think of foster care and all of the wonderful people it takes to really make that decision and that commitment to be a foster or adoptive parent, I think of the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child, and everything that you just said really does paint the picture of that being true. So, Lance, we did mention that you are the program manager, and she talked about the CASA program in general. Why don't you give us an idea of how that works and how people at home can actually be a volunteer?
Sure. CASAs, or Court-Appointed Special Advocates, are community volunteers that are requested by the judges of the Milwaukee County Children's Court to accompany a young person who has been abused or neglected. That CASA volunteer advocates for what is best for the young person, whether that child is 3 weeks old and in the neonatal intensive care unit, or whether that young person is 18 years old but still working to graduate from high school and needs some extra time in the child welfare system. The one thing that they have in common is that that community volunteer will advocate for what is best for them.
All right, and so how does one become a community volunteer in that way?
The way to become a court-appointed special advocate volunteer is to apply to be admitted to one of the trainings at Kids Matter Incorporated.
Okay.
We train court-appointed special advocates 2 or 3 times a year. The training takes 5 weeks, approximately 33 hours. The only requirements to apply to be a CASA volunteer are that you be 21 years old, that you be a high school graduate, and that you complete successfully our background check process.
And that's simple as that, right? When we talk about foster care, there are many different situations that lead young people into the system, so to speak. You have incarceration of a parent, maybe a parent who's dealing with mental illness, substance abuse, violence. All these different things could very well play a role in landing a child in the foster care system. But there are many children who actually are kept out of the system because there are family members who actually step up and say, you know what, we're going to raise this child until the parent or parents are able to, or they may just be in their home indefinitely.
Right. Well, we like to say family members are first responders, and most systems are set up for parents. So enrolling a kid in school, taking a child to the doctor. A few decades ago, it was easy for grandma to do that, and now because of HIPAA and other laws, it can be really hard for family members to access the services that they need for any child, that any child's going to participate. And so we help family members navigate all of those systems, establish legal guardianship if it's necessary. We help them understand the difference between what safety measures might be necessary just as a family member, because sometimes it's a very difficult path. If you're the grandma, you love your child who might be addicted to drugs, for example, and you love your grandchildren, and sometimes their interests aren't the same. So how do you help both? How do you navigate that path and make it work for the long term? So yeah, we see a lot of very different kinds of circumstances, but in general, kids are far better off being taken in by family members, and sometimes they'll decide that they need to get the child protection system involved because of the nature of the circumstance, but are still able to keep the children with them. So I think it's important that family members know that they can keep the children safe with them while working with the child protection system as well.
Yeah, and you guys have a long list of outstanding programs and services. For the viewers at home, where exactly does Kids Matter Incorporated step into the foster care process, if you understand what I'm saying? If a child is going to need a family member to take care of them, or they have to go to the foster care system, what role do you guys play in helping families?
Sure. Well, I think one of the best ways to answer that is to say we're going to help them figure it out, help them navigate, because our services are all free and voluntary. So people come to us willingly because they need help, and often we start with just an assessment. What's going on? What kind of help do you need? And it can depend on what the issue is. You mentioned mental health, incarceration, addiction. Parents sometimes just pass, right? There are lots of ways that people need help raising kids. And are they incarcerated for a short time or a long time? And a lot of legal terms get thrown around, legal guardianship, temporary guardianship, power of attorney. So people don't always even know what to ask for. And so we walk them through whatever's going on. It's a nice, safe ear. We're not the child protection system, so we're not, judging anybody. We're really there to help, and that's where it starts.
I love that, because a lot of times people do just have questions, and they don't want to ask or say the wrong thing that could end up working in a negative way in regards to the child. So I think it's excellent that you're able to be here today to let people know what it is that you're doing. Our viewers at home can also help make a difference by putting together what you call Fostering Hope packages, and you can put those together based on the age of a child who may be in foster care. So talk about some of the things that can go in those packages, if you would.
Sure. Well, we honestly, this started in a way with the community. People just started stepping forward saying, hey, I want to help. What's a good way to do that? So whenever children are in transition, especially when they're being placed initially, there are a lot of basic things that they don't have. And also, as a former foster parent, I can say that when kids are placed with you, sometimes people say, oh, they have everything, don't worry. And they show up and they have a diaper, and there's 2 toddlers. So, it's always, you don't necessarily know who's coming to your door. So the idea is that people collect things that are suitable for a child of a certain age, and also things that the child can do while they're waiting, because one of the challenges is always matching a child when they're taken into care. So we always have things that are a book to read, a coloring book and crayons, a journal, things like that, so there's something to do while you're sitting there waiting.
Absolutely. And for the younger children, formula and diapers, sleepwear, blankets, all those things really make a difference. So there are a lot of people out there who would love to add that to their list while they're shopping, I'm sure. And Lance, there are resources for foster youth and former foster youth as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Perhaps the most important resource that we in Milwaukee County have for our young people who are preparing to age out or who have aged out is some financing for their post-secondary education.
All right.
Whether it's college, vocational, whatever education that young person wants to pursue. There is money that is available from the Wisconsin Department of Children and Families that all you need to do is complete your application in a timely manner and be among the first people to apply. We love to help children, young people, whether they're getting ready to age out and applying to college for the first time, or whether they're 20 years old and just now embarking on their post-high school journey. Helping them apply to get that money to fuel their future is one of our greatest privileges.
Yeah.
Also, giving them advice concerning financial aid paperwork for college. There's a series of questions on the FAFSA, the Federal Application for Free Student Aid, that if you answer the questions incorrectly, you literally leave thousands of dollars of financial aid on the table. And children who have aged out of foster care qualify to get that money. We love to help young people do that and to help them protect their credit by running a credit check. They run the credit check. We tell them how to do it and provide a place for them to do it.
Okay.
This capitalizes on the credit protection services that they received when they were in the child welfare system. But as they exit, it's important to make sure that the information that many people had access to while those children were in out-of-home care is not used or has not been used to damage their credit.
Right.
It's easy to get it fixed if you're closer to the time when it was damaged.
Okay.
So these are things that we do for young people who are aging out or have aged out of foster care.
It's all a breath of fresh air. It really is.
Let me chime in also for relatives who are not involved in the foster care system, who are taking in and helping kids. The same issues with FAFSA are important for grandparents raising grandchildren, because sometimes people are worried that they can't afford to go to college because they think it's depending on the grandparents' income, and it's not.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of questions that people have about how to manage those things. And I'm going to just chime in here. Lance raised one topic that's super important, which is identity theft of children. Okay, and so that the population of kids that we work with often has a high rate of identity theft, and we help with that. So,
all right. I think you're doing wonderful things, and I thank you both for coming by and shedding light on the great things that you're doing. And needless to say, there are a lot of success stories coming out of Kids Matter Incorporated. You've got the 2015 Governor's Foster Youth of the Year, and also another young man by the name of Devin who won a Foster Youth Award along with Amanda. And I just think it's all wonderful. Thank you for coming by again. Susan Conwell is the Executive Director of Kids Matter Incorporated, and Lance Jones serves as a Program Manager for the organization. For more information on anything that we've discussed today, you can log on to kidsmatterinc.org or call 414-344-1220. When we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we'll continue our focus on foster care and find out more about an organization that's been changing the lives of children since the 1800s. We'll discuss the programs and services of St. A right after this.